Hello, folks, and welcome back to an edition of Three Hits with Rosey. We haven't done one of these in a while, mostly due to my tireless work ethic and passion for my craft. I almost never miss a show anymore. But unfortunately, I won't be here today, so I bring you this. Number one, what the Toronto Maple Leafs need to do moving forward is avoid being complacent. Complacent is a word that in pro hockey you will hear over and over and over again to the point of being nauseous because coaches love to say it because coaches hate to see it. Being complacent is something that happens naturally. It's not something you set out to do, obviously, but it's something that happens this time of year. You're post All-Star game, you're post trade deadline, you're waiting for the playoffs, and you can get complacent. I think we saw that in spades the other night against the Buffalo Sabres with this team, and it's something that can creep into people's or teams' games, and you want to avoid it at all costs because you want to be running into the playoffs like a freight train where you're just constantly getting better and you're just hitting your stride at the drop of the puck of game one and you're plateauing right for playoffs. That's what you need to do, and sometimes it's difficult to do that because you're nursing injuries, you're licking your wounds, your excitement level has been going on, you're kind of figured out who you're playing in the playoffs. Some guys even know who's home ice. Guys are winning divisions and this and that, and it's easy to get complacent and not have the same jam for all of these games. Whether you know who you're playing or home ice or whether everything's decided or not, you want your team to be firing on all cylinders going towards those playoffs, and that's what the Leafs need to try to do. They can start by doing it. Number two, they got the Colorado Avalanche tonight, and they're no slouch. Their road record is just as good as their home record. Sorry, I think they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've won the last two. It's a good measuring stick right now. Not that the Leafs need to be measured or anything, but it's a good way to get your bearings against a legit team. Obviously, the Stanley Cup defending champions right now, and they are going to come into Toronto, and they're going to give them a good test. And if the Leafs play their best, they can win, but I hope they find something and shake off whatever was going down on Saturday night, and they can start to get that train rolling into station here against the Avalanche tonight. Number three, we talked about it yesterday on the show a little bit, but with these goaltenders, people keep asking. I'm kind of always shocked or talking or making predictions on who's going to play game one in the playoffs. And I truly believe that those guys in the locker room, the coaching staff, they have day-to-day decisions to make constantly. Why would they worry about something and make a decision that they don't have to make today? No one knows what it's going to look like exactly here in the next 15 games, in the next few weeks coming before playoffs. I agree with Nick. All things being the same with these two goaltenders, they would go with Matt Murray. He's got the experience in spades with 2 Stanley Cup wins under his belt. He has that experience, and if they're playing the same, that would put him over the top and make him the starter coming game one. Totally agree. That's not necessarily going to be the case. I mean, if it started today, playoffs, I believe they would go with Ilya Samsonov simply because he's playing better. They're just going to go with their hot hand, and they've been saying that since day one. And that is not a problem. That is not an issue. That is not a confusing thing. That's a luxury that this team has because they have 2 capable goaltenders. They don't have a number one. So many other teams have that number one, and that's great. And whether their number one is fantastic or not, they know that if he goes down or starts to lose it, they don't really have any other options, and the Maple Leafs do. And again, I don't think they're going to make that decision on who's starting in the playoffs until the week of, the couple days before the playoffs. That's my prediction. We'll wait and see what happens, but a lot of fun and exciting stuff coming down the barrel.